and welcome to our Mindset Magic Summit. Those of you who are just tuning in, welcome. Those of you who've been listening into our other amazing speakers, I'm so thrilled to have you joining us again. I've loved the comments. Put them in the feed, whether you're watching on YouTube or LinkedIn, a range of Facebooks, wherever you are in the world, reach out, tell us your feedback, tell us what you're enjoying. We would love to hear from you, but we'd also love to connect with you. So also make sure you drop on over to womensbizglobal.com and just join the tribe. You should have had an opportunity to join us when you registered, but if you haven't done that yet, it's never too late. You get a free opportunity to come and hang out with us over the next month and have a little, see if you like it, right? I know you will, but I would love to see you there. Now, our next summit speaker, looking just beautiful there, is our gorgeous Jane Vandermeer. Jane is a multi-award winning, highly intuitive woman who is all into fashion, high-end fashion, helping women find their true self in how they show up every day. And she's had a 30-year career across all of the fashion industry. She's absolutely gorgeous. She was recently a co-author in A Woman's Guide to Business Domination. Her chapter is absolutely amazing. So make sure you get your hands on that. And I'm super, super looking forward to our conversation today. So welcome, Jane.
Thank you so much, Annie. That's such a beautiful introduction. I love being here with you and on this very special summit that you have organised today. So thank you so much. The selection of ladies that you not only support as the audience, but my fellow speakers are always extraordinary. So thank you.
It is such a pleasure to be with you at this time and ongoing through all of our work. I love that about our connections with women globally. We're all just doing so many things together, and that's what I just absolutely love celebrating, that together we truly are more, and we're all sort of dabbling in different parts of each other's businesses now, and it's just such a joy. So those of you who haven't come along and joined us yet, or even had that opportunity to speak, do so, because there's so much blessing there. And Jane and I have become seriously sisters through our other engagements. One thing I'd love to hear you talk about at this summit, though, Jane, is that you work with women in all different stages of, their understanding of self, right? Yeah. Who they are. You get lost in the doing, the trying to be someone. And so I'd love to discuss that topic of actually understanding, how do you understand what is your biggest asset, and then how do you then start sort of maximizing that?
Yeah, it's such a good question, isn't it? Because whether we're in small business or we are working for someone else, we're in corporate, we're so busy in the doing. We are achieving, we are working hard, we are, ticking goals off our lists and, doing simply extraordinary things, because women do. But that is all here, which, is amazing. But it's balancing that, isn't it? It's balancing what's needed here and then bringing it back to ourselves, our intuition, and who we truly are. And that's really, really, really hard to do. It's really hard. It's a really conscious thing to bring ourselves back to that. So when I talk about our biggest asset, we are our biggest asset. So those of us in small business, usually the business is built around us. We are the face of it. We are our brand. Even if we are quite sort of have a behind the scenes profile, we are our brand though. And so it is so important that we take care of this massive asset that we are. And that is, to me, that what's needed is holistic. So it is, body, mind and spirit, which sounds so easy on the surface, but when we are in, especially at the stage of building businesses, it is super consuming. It's time, it's energy, it's passion, it's our love. But it's very easy to get very out of balance. And for instance, when our diaries are so completely overbooked, where is the time for connecting back to heart, spirit, and soul and creativity? An example that comes to mind is I remember when I was in corporate, I used to go to a body balance class. So, it was this mixture of Tai Chi, yoga, and Pilates. And I would always cancel. I'd always cancel because I was too busy. And the irony of that is not lost on me, that I needed the balance, but I would always cancel because another client needed something, or I didn't want to let someone down, all that kind of thing. So by making those small decisions day to day, week to week, as a one-off, it probably doesn't really matter, but it's the daily practice of what we are choosing or cancelling on that creates the habits, that builds and feeds not only our mindset, but our body and our spirit. We can end up quite robotic because we're in the doing, we're not in the feeling, and there's a real disassociation there. We'll lose, that connecting to our intuition. So I think if you can build time into your diary where there's pockets of time that are not so overbooked, that allows for that time, which in turn is looking after our biggest asset, which is us and our mental health, our physical health, all the aspects that make us who we are.
I love that. I love the way you shared about that, because it is pretty much when I say what is your biggest asset and bringing it out, you're thinking of parts of you. You're thinking of your strengths, right? I come from that. I'm a CEO, so I go strengths, weaknesses. What are your opportunities? Where can you maximize? Whereas actually, in your world, you're actually going, all of you is the biggest asset. But you've got to know what all of you represents, know yourself well, and then you've got to nurture those parts. Because I also heard you sort of say that, you be the face, be the brand, and therefore it's not just doing the work. I think a lot of us hide behind the work and the biz, and that is extremely important. But at the end of the day, the X factor happens when they can feel all of you in that business. It'd be like if I referred a client to go and see Jane Vandermeer first, and so she can finesse your style as per her business brand name, without Jane, without all of Jane. Like, that would be crazy, because otherwise it's just a product, it's a service. In some things that's okay if you're buying a can of paint. But if anything, if you're, if you've got that human element, so much is actually learning how to show up. Now, one thing then just leaps out at me, and I'm sure those listening in going, well, that's all great, but what if you're not comfortable being the face of the brand? Feeling comfortable with yourself, which is totally up your alley. Of how do you help people? First of all, you'll get people going, I don't want to be selfish. I don't want people to think I'm ego-driven. I don't want them to, look at me, I'm amazing, because we all hate that, particularly in Australia. We have a big problem.
We so do.
I don't care anymore. I just go, I know I'm awesome. But most people do still worry about that. And so how do you step away? How do you manage that feeling of self-consciousness, putting ego to the side? I'd love to hear your views on that.
Yeah, great question. I feel like it's where, so putting ego to the side is getting help. So it may be in the form of doing a public speaking course so that you can finesse what you know. Like, if you're a complete beginner, wonderful, you've got a place to start and get some tools, some extra tools in your tool belt. And if you're you've spoken a little bit in public, there's always areas you can get better at, and it's practice. It's a bit like, say, your elevator pitch. When you first start, you've got it worked out, but it's it's saying it again and again and again. It's the repetition, and you get better at it, and it's practice. It's like all things. So putting your ego aside is being brave enough to take it on the chin when you like knowing yourself well enough to know where you need some help. And I suppose that's where I come in with styling, and how I work with styling is not just let me take you shopping and buy you lots of new things, because to me that is fine, but I do see that as a bit of a band-aid. How I work is I've designed a program that works. We work together over a longer period of time, and we dig deeper and we work out. I give you the tools so that you learn, you have the power, you therefore feel empowered. And to do that, you need to let down your guard with me. And that takes time. And, you've got to work out that you can trust me, and and women end up telling me their most innermost secrets, because it is personal. It's about our bodies and our hang-ups. That's personal. But then they also know that I would never share anything beyond that. I'm like a little vault here. And so with those tools and getting help, so we get business coaches, and we employ all these other areas within business. So this is another tool. One thing that came to mind, Annie, when you were just talking, is one lady I've worked with recently. She comes from a science background. She's a scientist. She's brilliant and experienced and done extraordinary things, but she knows herself well enough to know, although she knows a little bit about fashion and style, she wants to step up. She knows whether she likes it or not, she is the face of the business, and she knows that she needs help. And her business is about to soar. It really is. So that's where I come in, and we work together, and I help give you those tools and build, whether it's self-confidence, self-worth, and we find out who you are, your unique, spectacular uniqueness, because we're all a mix of our experiences and our knowledge and our all that we extraordinary women fit into our lives. We're a mix of all of that and where we're going. And I'll often say to you, are you dressing like where you are right now or where you want to go? If you don't invest in yourself a little bit, how are you going to draw in what you need to? Like if you want to present and teach, or you want, you have goals for your business that you want to elevate it to a certain financial level, or maybe you want to help more people, or whatever your goals are, I work hand in hand to help you achieve that.
Yeah, you're helping them show up in the version of themselves that actually they're on the cusp of now, but actually the person that they're growing into. So you're actually, in most things, and I'll teach that with business, that you're actually sort of, painting a picture of who you want to be, because that's who you're growing into, and that's what your customers are going to be seeing, not the past. And I think a lot of people get stuck in someone told me once I didn't suit that color, so I've never worn it again. Or I feel like I don't look good in the latest fashion, so like I just don't bother. Whereas there's so many, and I love that about the work that you do, because it's kind of like, yes, you're very current in current trends, but sometimes those trends just don't suit your body shape.
No.
Of course, you would actually look terrible in them. You don't.
And there's something really empowering about that, isn't there? I often use Seed Heritage, which is a store here in Australia, which I love. I want to say I love, but they don't love me, because their pattern makers they don't design for my body shape. And they don't really work with my color palette. So I stand in the store and I say, oh, you're so lovely. And I back right out, and I don't spend money in there, because it works for other ladies who I know and I'll recommend, but not for me. And instead of beating myself up and feeling like, I've eaten too many naughty things and my tummy's bigger than it should be, and beating myself up and all that self-talk and which ties in with self-worth, self-confidence, blah, blah, blah. Instead of all that, I just think, you know what, it's not designed for my body shape. So that's
Yeah.
okay. And you walk away happily. And
Yeah.
that there's a big place of empowerment knowing that you're not the problem.
I think there's so much empowerment. There's not just empowerment, it's just this confidence, this glow, this I can do it. I'm here for for my intellect, for my skills, for my aptitude, for a whole broad range of things. So I'm certainly not here just for my looks. But if I start showing up in my confident self, in my true self, then that actually makes me so confident in it just comes out of me. I remember, Jane, when I first became a CEO, and a couple of people giggled to me because Annie's obviously known as a bit of colour. I do love a bit of colour.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
And I used to get told, tone it down, like, just tone down, like everyone just loves greys and pales and this and that, whatever. And I go, I know, but for me, I love it on them. But for me, like, look at you just like, oh, just beautiful. But for me, I go, I just feel washed out. It doesn't feel right. I feel like it's drab and boring. And so you're working around what you get. And so when I became a CEO, like I had a couple of people giggle, go, you're going to get those grey suits on now, and I go, I'm like, no, because I said, one, definitely there's more men CEOs than than necessary. But two, I went, no, why can't I just have my own blend? So yes, I had to step up a little bit of the fashion, and I had to have the part, but actually there was no backfiring from that. In fact, I'd arrive at places and I'd often hear those things like, oh, here comes our colorful CEO, or here comes our woman who just radiates our color and energy, and things like that actually showed me that I had got that confidence just learning, I could still wear a dress with a nice little jacket or this or that, but I didn't have to conform to this view. And I'm sure that must be a massive part of your work, which I wanted to then move on to then mindset. So that whole mindset shift that has to happen to, how do you actually help people help their mindset become like a superpower? I love it. I call it turning your wounds into superpower, turning your weaknesses into a superpower. How do you help people do that?
Yeah, a big part about what I do is help women understand themselves. Like, really, that is our biggest superpower. And that when you do that, you're really stepping into your, not only your superpower, but your unique point of difference. It's easy to look at in business and, there's a million other competitors and all that kind of thing. But what is so unique is your special skill set. So my approach is always to help you understand who you truly are. So say with you, Annie, you are effervescent, you are up, you are positive, you are always like that all the time. Combine that with the sort of colors that suit you. Like if you appeared on stage as a CEO in a beige suit, for instance, the visual I get is you'd be like a sunflower that just what does that for you? Like you'd lose all your Annie-ness, right? Because that is not who you are. And I love that you, like, it gives, when you know that about yourself, and it's all the different elements. So say with me today, like this is truly Jane. I'm floral, it's all colors that are really good against my skin. My skin looks soft and clear, and it magically takes away all the dark lines and all that kind of thing because it's the right tones, right? As is hair color. Like I do everything. I do the whole, because we're holistic. Now, if we were live together on stage, I would walk on with confidence because I know I am truly being Jane. And the same way that you in your brighter colors and because they've got to be stronger for you, and you'd really own it. And that when you know yourself more and it's cohesive, that is when you really, there's a congruence with the knowledge and the experience and all the cerebral business experience and qualifications that we have, blending with the outside, and I can help you. And then you just own it. You walk differently, you command the room differently, and you share your magic and message very differently.
Yeah. I totally love this conversation because I love all women just showing up as their authentic self, and that authentic self will look so different to each woman. But when you see someone in their zone, like, and I meet people all the time from all around the world, and it's almost like in that first meeting, I get this feeling, it's almost like I could give it a percentage on those who I know have self-actualized and got into that space of, this is who I am, because it just feels like this total package connection, right? Their energy level, their expressions, the whole package of the way they sort of do everything. If you do one little bit, if you're a big necklace wearer, you'll probably have the little beautiful hairs and this and that. And so and the others who say one thing, or their brand or their bio says one thing, but then they don't look like that person.
They don't look anything
I'm like going, and I kind of get a bit confused because I'm like, I feel like, like I get people go, wow, you feel like a little hippie in your image, but then you're saying you're this, top exec in this, that, whatever, but there's a disconnect. So I'm kind of like, so I'm thinking that has to not just affect that person will then feel that it's a lot of energy to try and keep both things going. And also it's very confusing if they are their brand. It's confusing for the customer to actually go, are they really in? Are they really passionate? It's like going into a surf shop and seeing the guy who normally looks like a surfy dude, and then you get a person who looks really geeky, and you're like going, are you just manning the counter, or can I talk to someone who knows about surfboards?
That's it in a nutshell. And like, not to step on what your area that you work on with women, but like, if you look at my website, all photos and how I show up, there's the same Janeness across it all.
Yes.
And it's not me in a costume, it's me being authentic and me being me. And that needs to shine through too. I look at some girls and you look at their Instagram photo, and I'm on a call with them and I'm like, gee, I don't think it's the same lady. I won't say that, but I'm like, they seriously don't look the same. Or I don't know, there's just like, one is so glammed up, and that's lovely, but that's not who she really is. So for some ladies, to me, it is digging deep and finding, this is what I do, dig deep and help you find the version of you. And of course, in small business, we're all about growing and moving forward. And so our photos, for instance, of who we are right now, or 6 months ago or 12 months ago, we might not be that same person now. So it's about refining and keeping on moving forward, because if we're not stagnating, and we need not to stagnate too. We need to be open to keep learning and growing and being 2 steps ahead. That's life and that's business. And still being the version of who you are, but just the new and improved version, And we often go through steps of growth, whether it's a relationship change or, big things, or just small things, small times, and it might just be a slight tweak.
And I love just actually those moments that women reach out to you and have that sort of revelation that you go, I'm showing up as even if it was just 3 years ago, 5 years ago. I hope because we are all evolving, but our businesses and our lives and ourselves are evolving. And with that might mean that I know, like, since I was 50 plus, seriously, I've got quirkier and quirkier, because I just love the freedom of I don't care about certain things anymore. And sort of, but with that then means that you might then crank up the color even more, or go a little bit, those ladies
who have the color,
because it suits them, right? And it's not about whatever it is. It's and other people might be listening and going, well, you shouldn't be talking all about the cosmetic, because it's all about
No, I get that.
And I understand it, but I go, why can't you have it all? Why can't you be proud of your mind, your skills, but
Yeah.
also show up in a way that just says, oh my gosh, I feel so comfortable with the way I'm showing
Yeah.
up. Why can't we have it all?
Yeah. And what do you think happens when women show up in a confidence in your own skin? That, to me, it's that thing that women say, and often they'll say it to me, I don't know what it is, but I just want a bit of Jane. And to me, my interpretation of that is it's the congruence. It is the balance of, the masculine and feminine energy. It's embracing that part of who I am. It's the self-assuredness, which comes with time, and it comes with learning about oneself and continual learning. And when you sit strongly in that place of power, that's then your language that you share with your audience. And isn't that an appealing thing to want to be around and draw in clients who want that from you?
Oh, I just think it's the best thing. I think it's one of the biggest goals, because I'm all into personal and professional branding and bringing that little, finding that sweet spot in the middle. And I absolutely love it. I love it if I just pop in to get a bunch of flowers for someone from a florist, and then the florist comes out and they just feel like this person who just genuinely loves their flowers. They've got something in their hair. They're like, their enthusiasm's there. They're, they just look all flowy. They all, it's almost like, oh, you're going to love this. And then they'll go, what kind of woman are you giving it to? So they'll look at me and go straight for, the Gerberas or something. And then they go, well, who are you buying it for, sweetheart? And I'll go, oh, well, I'm buying it for my gorgeous friend Jane. What's she like? Oh, she loves all the lighter florals. We need to go over here and more, around, something in the geranium section and whatever it is. But I absolutely love it, because what it's showing you is not that the person can just do their job, not that they've got the qualifications that is appropriate for them to be there, but the X factor and the sales. And that's what I do with people is actually just help them elevate and build on that essence of who they are, injected into their brand, because that's what I do in Women's Biz Global. That's what you do in Finesse Your Style. That's what, when you start thinking about that, those of you who are watching, and I would love to have your comments if you agree or disagree, because some of you can really press some buttons, and I invite that. So definitely drop your comments in, because I know Jane would love to chat to you afterwards if you've got some of those, to be able to actually think, how do we actually believe that would be better? And then what will happen is, when you start thinking, yes, I agree, you agree with Annie and Jane's conversation, some handbrakes will come on, because your insecurities will be activated, and that is normal. That is so normal. I'll see people just get paralyzed going, oh, I don't feel comfortable. You've got no idea. When I put out my biography, Becoming Annie, and I got recommended, put my own photo on the cover. Oh my God, I had like a panic attack. What 50-year-old puts her face on the cover of something, right? But how crazier would it be to have a biography without your face on the cover? So we worry about things, but the pressure points will be activated. So I encourage those watching and thinking about this topic now to actually assume that will happen, but that's still a good thing. Push through it.
Absolutely. And from my angle, because my teachings go for about 5 months. So at a certain point, most women are triggered. Most women sort of go, and they'll email me and say, hope your ears were burning over the weekend. And I'll say, oh, okay. And because to learn and especially, it's personal, but you can go as deep or as non-deep as you want. But growth is often uncomfortable, and I get that. We all get that. So you need to pick the right people to make sure that you're nurtured and supported through growth. But the results are always worth it. It's like, I was saying that to someone last night. It's like going to a party or an event where you don't know many people, it's always nerve-wracking. It's always nerve-wracking, and it's always rewarding. Someone will always kindly come up to you and say hello. So I put it sort of in that category of, yes, I'm very aware it's can be a bit of a vulnerable thing, and I'll often have women at the start email me and say, I'm so scared, I'm nervous, blah blah blah, and you know what, I hold your hand the whole way through, because it's a big thing. But think of the rewards. Think of the rewards.
Think of the rewards. There is so ridiculous rewards waiting for you. On the other side of the discomfort is just seriously a whole new level of confidence, self-assurance, and also abundance, because that will then come through. Your energy and your confidence will actually come through in your business. You will have more sales for sure. You do, because you actually show up in a different way. So it's not focused on the money, but actually that those rewards will happen because of your authenticity. Oh my goodness. We could seriously talk all day, Jane, but that's all time we've got today on our summit. So those of you, definitely reach out to Jane. She's at finesseyourstyle.com, because that's exactly what she does. She helps you finesse your style.
All about you.
It's all about you. She will hold your hand. She will help you adjust your mindset blocks around different issues with self. She's absolutely beautiful. And I already can't wait for next summit when we get to hear her share again. Thank you so much for sharing with us today, Jane.
Thank you so much for having me, Annie. It's always a delight to spend time with you. You are such an inspiration to so many women that you help, not only here but globally. So thank you for all that you do. You treat everyone with not only kindness, but you elevate and you wholeheartedly care, which is such a skill. One of your superpowers.
It's my superpower, and thank you. That's so kind of you. Mwah. Much love to you. Everyone else listening, make sure you just take a little break, and we'll be back with our next summit speaker very, very soon.